All right, so I've drawn another picture on my whiteboard, and we had talked about the biomes that are close to the equator. We had said right on the equator you're going to have either a tropical rainforest or a tropical dry forest. As you move a little bit away from the equator, we had what we called savanna, which is a grassland that's very hot, but it doesn't have much water, and so it doesn't have enough rainfall to support trees. Now, I'm going to explore why there is this reduction in the moisture in the air. I've drawn an example picture of the Earth here, and this dotted line is the equator. And you can imagine at the equator, high temperatures cause a lot of evaporation. And so when water evaporates, it goes up into the atmosphere. And we had said that's what causes all that rain in the tropical rainforest. Well, what happens is this warm, moist air rises up into the atmosphere, and it gets deflected and moves either north or south away from the equator. Now, the further you go away from the equator, either north or south, the colder it gets. And so the carrying capacity, the capacity of the air to hold the moisture is reduced. Cold air can't hold as much moisture as warm air, so you start having rain. And so you start losing some of that moisture that we had in the atmosphere. And so you move further and further away from the equator, and you get less and less rainfall. Well, eventually you get 30 degrees north or 30 degrees south. Well, around the world, at 30 degrees above the equator or 30 degrees below the equator, we have a belt of deserts. It's because all of the moisture is gone from the water that was evaporated at the equator. And so deserts are found around the world at 30 degrees north and south latitude. That means, about right here in the northern hemisphere and about right here in the southern hemisphere. Now, so as we've moved away, we've seen that we have these first four characteristic biomes. Next, we're going to talk about temperate. And so we start having more and more moisture in the air because of the dry air. It causes more evaporation from the oceans because the air doesn't have any moisture in it. And so as you continue moving north or south, it starts to become filled with water again, and we get the biomes of the temperate areas that we'll talk about next. Temperate meaning areas like where we live. We live in a temperate area, areas that are above or below 30 degrees north or south latitude.